the old bill would come crashing through the door, like the front door. There was a knock on the door, one click, bang, great big thing, and picked me up, threw me on the stairs, laid me on the arm up my back, gun on my head, arm plate. You know what I mean? But you don't hear that. I just think I'm going to die. It gets to the bottom of them snags. I'm fighting it for must have been about 10 minutes, right? And then all of a sudden I've gone like that, and I've pulled it out of the net. He's a funny guy, isn't he, Albert Romp? And he's sitting there, he goes, he said, what's your name again? Right? He went, zip, zap, zop. He's trying to think of Zen, you know what I mean? He went, zip, zap, zop, zip, zonk, right? And then zonk stuck. So Keith sold it to my dad. And my dad ate it. Tasted like mud. Ugh. That was my first carp.
No, that's not Dreamlakes. What's that?
I think it might be Dreamlakes.
Is it really?
Oh no, Darren.
Oh, there you go. Look, £38.
Yeah.
Carp amid the frost. Big lake or tip lake?
No, it'd be Big Lake. Yeah. Yeah, we liked it on there.
That's France, isn't it?
What, another one?
You see sort of the trees and that.
Yeah, that's France, I think. Mersey. That looks like Darren again, doesn't it?
Yeah. You were on there at a good time then. Obviously not at the absolute.
91, 92. When Mainline first started.
Yeah.
We started fishing Darren. Rather than fucking come back to Colchester, we just went through the fucking tunnel and we fished over the Grange or Darren. A snake in it.
Yeah. Who did your pictures?
Can't remember. There was a whole load of them there, like in the old, you know what I mean? Like, you know, all the famous five would have been there.
Did you have it before or after Phil?
I was the second one to catch it. No, that geezer caught it.
David Westerman.
Yeah.
Then you. Then Phil.
Yeah.
Or Damo.
Phil. You know, Damo caught it last. So it used to go up like a pound or so every year. So I had it at 40 and a half. Next country come out at 41 and a half. And then, oh, what's that geezer's name with the blonde hair? Wellesley caught it. And then Damo caught it, didn't he? 45. On our Liver and Marine. You know, first year Mainline started about 92. Roger Smith, next one.
Roger.
Must have been using the films up, you know.
It was nice to have though, isn't it? These sort of. What are your memories of Roger?
Oh, he's ace, wasn't he? Yeah. That was him. I met him and Bob over Silver End. And we was talking about shit and everything, and they said, fucking get your ass down Salvay and everything. And he said, you'll love it over there and blah, blah, blah. And they ripped me the address on a packet of fucking fags. So the directions to get to the fisheries pub.
Could only have been better if we'd been on the back of a beer mat.
Yeah, no, we was fishing.
Yeah.
And then Bob, I used to have a deal with all them Sport X rods with my mate in the tackle shop. And so Bob wanted a load of blanks, Sport X blanks cheap, so I got them for him. And I brought them down with me, and I drove straight to the fisheries pub. Like, because you never had sat-nav phones or fuck all in them days, you know. So I drove down there, found it, and I thought, bloody hell, there's like Richie McDonald, fucking Hutchie, fucking Bob and Albert, fucking all these people I sort of read about and everything, and that, you know. I think I'd met Jim Hepper previously, and so we was in the fucking pub, and then they said, oh, you've got to come down to Indian till about 2 in the morning, and then Jim Hepper took me for a walk around Savay at dawn, you know. I was knackered, I was.
Yeah, it's black, you can see it through your t-shirt.
I'll put another t-shirt on if you want.
That's all right. Sweet. Lovely.
Oh, I'm shitting myself now.
Oh, don't.
I'll start stuttering and everything.
No, you won't. I can tell you won't.
I will. I'll try not to swear.
You can swear, mate.
Yeah, no, Richie swore more in the first 10 minutes of his chat than anyone we've ever had on. So, because he was, I think he was a bit nervous, wasn't he? Right, Zen, thank you very much for having us round. Now, it's fair to say, looking at the amount of gear around us here, you must have something of a tackle fetish.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think I've quite seen so many rods.
Yeah, I've got a few.
Yeah. But this is, from what I've heard, you're kind of a fairly innovative guy with tackle. Is it still something that interests you?
Yeah, I'm always fiddling. You know, I always change stuff about. I mean, even when I was using like Drenon boilie hooks, I'd turn the eye in, turned the eye. I just can't, well, even my rods are all customised and everything. I have to do something to everything and that, you know.
Is that because you come from an era of fishing where you had to make gear or not have gear? Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But and what sort of presumably your brain is wired that way anyway. You're a tinkerer.
Fiddler. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know from why. In the early days, mate, of carp fishing, you never had the gear, and you know. You had those dodgy old heron heads and things like that. So we was using whatever we had, but you was always looking to improve on it and that, you know. And the only way you could improve on it was to make it yourself, you know, like custom, like the bank sticks, buzzers, catapults, rods. Used to make all our own rods and everything and that, you know. And I really enjoy that. Gets you thinking, you know what I mean?
I mean, we're in your little workshop, I guess, here now, and there's still evidence of plenty of tinkering going on at the moment.
Yeah. These and a hammer, yeah.
But
yeah, I sit there making up rigs, fiddling about with rigs.
And you still sort of feel like, despite the way that the industry has gone, the tackle industry has gone, that there are improvements that you can make by tweaking things yourself?
Well, maybe improvements, or maybe just making me feel better sometimes, you know what I mean? And know that I've sort of fiddled with it a bit and it's not whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like, you know?
Is that because, you know, like we said, you come from that era when you had to do a lot yourself? It feels like almost cheating if you're just using something out of the bag. Is that...
I couldn't use a ready-made rig or anything like that in a packet. And I mean, loads of people do, don't they, you know? But I mean, I remember when ready-made boilies first come out, you know, with Richworth and that, and I thought, oh, they'll never catch on, and you know what I mean? Like, little did I know, you know what I mean? Like,
little did you know you'd have your name on a bag of ready-made.
we'd have two great big machines pumping them out, you know.
I think, to be fair, it'd be a good place to start, actually, is the fact that for most people who weren't around in the 80s and 90s, they've probably seen your name on a bag of bait.
Yeah, probably couldn't pronounce it, but yeah. Is there no fucking what? Right? People used to go, what's your name? Bojko, Joko, Coco. I mean, I used to have this when I hurt myself when I was a kid, and I used to go to like the casualties, the hospital. They'd sit there and they'd say, Mr. Bojko, Coco, and everyone's looking around. Like, I think there's going to be some African chief sitting there or something, you know. So I used to leave it for a few minutes, then I'd sort of saunter up to the desk, and I'd say, you just called my name out a minute, you know what I mean? Like, you know? I wish my name was Smith, you know, Zenon Smith.
It must have been quite difficult though as a kid, I guess, in that sense, being so different with a name like that. Yeah,
I used to get picked on a lot, you know, because we was like a poor family and think like, well, everyone was, you know. I mean, when we moved in down this road, I was only about 6, 7, something like that, you know. And it took about 2 minutes because we had nothing, you know. And then you look down the road and they've got these little walls outside, you know, they're all council houses, and there's just hundreds of kids all sitting down the road. And they're all my age, because we've all grown up, or been born just after the war. I was born in 51, you know what I mean, like not long after the war. And then, so there's hundreds of kids on this estate, and we're all the same age, you know. So we've all sort of grown up together, done wrong things together, you know, because we never had no money. You know, if you wanted a bike, mate, it had to be someone else's, you know what I mean? But you couldn't be caught with it, so you had to, like, he'd have a wheel, he'd have the saddle, he'd have the hand, you know what I mean? Like, we'd make up bikes out of like all stolen gear and everything.
Franken bikes.
Yeah. And things. Oh mate, I wouldn't change it for the world. No.
So did you grew up in Colchester? Is that right? Yeah. So why did your parents presumably moved over from?
No, my mum's English. My old man was Ukrainian.
Ukrainian. So your dad left the Ukraine and came to Colchester.
Yeah. It was after the war or something, you know.
Yeah.
From what I know, I don't. To be honest, I hate my old man. He used to knock me about and everything, but that's beside the point. He was a partisan in the Ukraine, caught in between like the Germans and the Russians fighting each other, and like through the Ukraine there was like a partisan. They'd kill the Russians, they'd kill the Germans. If they got caught by the Germans, they'd go, oh, like, we come to join you and everything and that, you know. And then, I mean, they used to sit there, they called themselves the outfit, and like a whole load of them come over. After the war, because they got caught in German uniforms, and so they got prisoners in Italy and then brought back to England and everything stuff. But they couldn't go back to Russia because they'd get killed. especially my old man, because he was over 21 or something, and anyone over a certain age got sent back regardless. So they all lied about their ages and that, you know. So I don't even know how old he was when he died, you know what I mean, because he lied about his age. And so they got caught in a German. I remember him telling me one story where there was in a German unit or something, because he mentioned like the gas chambers and the Jews coming up the trains and things like that. He said all that, and wherever they decided to do a runner, and they nicked like a German vehicle, and they drove through the sentry thing, like that red and white post and everything, and they got shot at, and his mate who was driving got shot in the head and died, and they crashed into a ditch. He said, and the Germans were running, it was all snow and everything. He said, you could see the Germans running towards them. And he said, but before we left, he said, I had to take my mate, the one who got shot in the head, he nicked his boots because they were better than his. And then like off into the forests and everything. And then they said they come across, they could smell smoke and that in the forest. And they found like a little Hansel and Gretel type house in the middle of nowhere. And the geezer was making vodka. And they could, you know, and they went there and sort of made friends with him. He said the next thing he woke up about 3 days later, they could have done anything, you know what I mean? This vodka had been distilled about 6 times, right? And it knocked him out. And he had a great big scar up his leg. And he took us down to Clacton once and he had like swimming trunks on and everything. And I was only like little, and I said, he'd slid down a tree, like a pine tree or something, and got a splinter right up his, you know what I mean? Like, they had to cut his whole leg, not meant to get this like a great big long splinter like the length of his leg where he slid down a tree, you know. Oh.
Do you think there's anything in your background and the struggles you perhaps had, you know, with the name and the identity thing that made you like a successful guy and ambitious, or you know, like, were there things about your past that made you the person you are today, do you think?
Well, yeah, the fact I never had nothing. So like, you know, you had to sort of find your own sort of way in the world, even as a kid, like your own pocket money and that, you know, like fiddling the telephone boxes and cigarette machines and things like that, you know what I mean, chewing gum machine, we used to sort of rob all those, you know, and but even then I was inventive. I found, like, rather than just get the change out the cigarette machine, I wanted the fags as well, you know. so I made up like a dart type thing with a barb and everything, and I'd sort of drop it down there and I could pull this, and I could pull like 10 fags out, you know what I mean? One of them might have a hole in it with a dart went in it, but you just sort of put your finger on it, you know what I mean? I started smoking when I was about 10. I got nicked for that.
Did you?
Yeah, I was 11 when I first got nicked for breaking into cigarette machines.
Criminal record at 11.
Product of the environment, mate. You know?
Of course.
Yeah, it was all the same, it was all potless. So if you had anything, like with them bikes, and you had to sort of do it yourself, make it yourself. We used to make our own little catapults out of like the wire fence off the fences, like the 8th wire, a bit of your shoe leather, you know, for a pouch, and the elastic was the inner tubes off a bike and that, you know. And so you start, yeah, I've always sort of been like a bit of inventive in it.
And what made you turn to fishing then?
When I was a kid, we lived at Braeswick. The road's gone now. It's called Brook Cottage. It's on the outskirts of Colchester, near the golf course and that, you know. And my dad, he made me up a float out of a cork, a quill, and because his mate he worked on a farm, like pruning apple trees and shit like that. And his mate, I remember his name was George Ruggles, even though I was only like that. He was like a fisherman. He had a pond in it, you know, with and he'd been in the Merchant Navy. And he had like a trout rod in a big pencil case. And so he slid the case off. He bought it in the Far East somewhere. And it was like a 3, 4, 5 piece like trout rod. And he was going to go fishing on the River Colne down Baker's Lane in Colchester. Do you know that one, Elliott? Not really, no. And so they was going to go fishing. So my dad made me this float, and it was like a blood red colour. He painted it and everything. I never had a rod or anything. So when we was walking down there, he went into the woods and cut out a hazel branch, and then tied my line to the, you know what I mean. And I went on the river and caught 3 eels. And I was the only one who caught. I caught 3 eels, and we found an old paint tin, and it was like half full of paint that had gone rock hard and everything, and it had a lid on it. And we put the eels in there and took them home, and my old man ate them. And then that was my first flurry into fishing. And then when we moved here, there's just over the back on the way to Layer, there's a little